How does intergenerational equity affect climate justice? Imagine a world where everyone shares the Earth's resources fairly, no matter where they live or how much money they have. That's the idea behind intergenerational equity. It's about fairness among people alive today. When we talk about climate justice, this idea becomes even more important. Climate change hits vulnerable communities hardest, even though they often contribute the least to the problem. For example, poorer countries and marginalized groups face more floods, droughts, and health issues caused by climate change. Intergenerational equity says that these groups should get more help because they are suffering the most. Developed nations have historically used more fossil fuels and gained wealth from industrialization. This means they have a bigger responsibility to fix the climate crisis. They owe it to poorer nations and communities to share technology and resources. For instance, transferring renewable energy technology to developing countries helps them grow without relying on coal or oil. Climate finance programs are meant to send money to help vulnerable areas adapt and reduce emissions. But often, these funds are not enough or are slow to arrive. Within countries, intergenerational equity also fights against environmental injustice. Marginalized neighborhoods often face more pollution and heat because of zoning laws and city planning. Policies that create equal access to green spaces and cleaner air help balance these inequalities. For example, cities can build parks and green roofs in low-income areas to reduce heat and improve health. This way, the benefits of development are shared more equally, and no group bears the brunt of pollution or climate risks alone. The challenge is turning these ideas into real policies. Wealthy nations and big companies sometimes resist because sharing resources means giving up some control or profits. Carbon pricing schemes, if not designed carefully, can end up making energy more expensive for poor households while letting the rich buy their way out of restrictions. International agreements like the Paris Agreement recognize that fairness among nations is key to global climate action. They aim to include all countries, especially those with fewer resources, in efforts to cut emissions. In the end, intergenerational equity shapes climate justice by insisting that fairness must guide how we share the planet's resources and responsibilities. It reminds us that climate solutions should not deepen existing inequalities but instead work to create a more just and balanced world for everyone alive today. Without this focus on fairness, efforts to fight climate change risk benefiting only the powerful, leaving the most vulnerable to suffer the worst impacts.